atoms form together to create molecules and elements and compounds, we're going to start looking at the characteristics of living things. What things do all living things have in common? So we're going to talk about how living things are very different. We could talk about one-celled organisms like the bacteria you see in the picture, or the giant blue whale, which is made up of thousands of cells. But when we talk about the characteristics of living things, they have to apply to all living things, no matter how large or how small. So what do we have in common with all living things? There are 6 characteristics that scientists generally agree upon that make up living things. So those things are: 1, they're made of cells; 2, they sense and respond to their environment; 3, they reproduce; 4, they have DNA; 5, they use energy and perform complex chemical activities; 6, they grow and develop. Let's look at these a little more closely. So, all living things are made up of cells. Cells are the basic building blocks of life, just like atoms were the basic building blocks of elements and compounds. Now what we're talking about is how compounds make up cells and cells make up living things. Living things can be unicellular, meaning they're made of one cell, or multicellular, meaning they're made of many cells. Please put these things in your notebook. If something is a multicellular organism, it has different kinds of cells that perform different kinds of specialized jobs or functions. Oftentimes they are shaped or designed to do that job. For example, red blood cells have a cup in them, a dip, and they're shaped that way to carry oxygen. Nerve cells have finger-like projections to send and receive messages. In this slide, you see the red blood cell that's shaped kind of like a donut or a lifesaver. That's so it can carry the oxygen. The nerve cell, you can see all those finger-like projections so that they can send and receive the messages. Another trait is all living things must respond to their environment. So if you notice the Simpsons there yelling at each other, they are responding to their environment. We call a stimulus anything that causes a reaction or a change in an organism. When you react to that stimulus, it's called a response. That's an action or a change in the behavior of an organism. That might be from a prey trying to catch a predator trying to catch its prey, or it could be something like the room is cold and you shiver, and that's a stimulus and a response. Another trait, all living things need to reproduce. Without reproduction, everything would become extinct. We have to be able to reproduce to make more of our own kind for a species to continue. There is sexual reproduction. This requires 2 parents. We will talk about this more in class. The offspring have characteristics of both parents. They're going to look different from each of the parents. In asexual reproduction, things reproduce from only one parent, and a parent splits into 2 and forms new offspring. Here, the offspring are identical to the parent. We'll talk about budding and regeneration and fission as parts of this. All living things must be made of DNA. DNA is something called deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a compound. It is what all living things are made up of. It gets passed from parent to offspring in reproduction. Heredity is a definite word you need in your notes again. It is the passing of traits from parent to offspring. All living things use energy, meaning they eat, they take in food, which is ingestion. They break down that food for energy. They take in oxygen or carbon dioxide, and they also get rid of waste. That's excretion. Into your notebooks, please write the word metabolism. It is a total of all the chemical reactions that occur in a living thing. So every time we break down food, every time we inhale and take in oxygen. One of the most interesting things is that all living things grow and develop. All living things get larger, they get more complex, meaning they change and develop, they mature, they repair injuries, they have a lifespan. The lifespan is the time that something's alive on Earth. So you can see the caterpillar getting larger there, We know that it goes through some changes and develops into a butterfly. So those are the kinds of things we're talking about.